tradition. You can't buy it. It's earned the hard way over decades and eras. On the field, on the road, in the mud. With guts and with grit, and firm belief that today could be our day. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is back. Still alive, still kicking, the oldest prize in American soccer. 96 teams, part-timers to major leaguers. Survive and move on, lose and you go home. So we call all underdogs, dreamers and believers. And we ask you again, one simple question. Are you up for the cup?
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup takes center stage from Vice City tonight, where Miami FC kicks off its campaign in the first round against NPSL's Naples United FC. We say hello and welcome here from FIU Soccer Stadium alongside Ross Davenport. I'm Sam Goldfarb. Time to meet the two teams competing here. Miami FC, their 7th appearance, a team that has been to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, perhaps a nice little run here in 2025 would take their minds off their little bit of struggles in the USL Championship over the last couple of years. Some talented players on this team, some new starters tonight as well. Coach Gaston Madoni.
A team that has rotated a bit. They are squaring off against an upstart Naples United side, making its first ever U.S. Open Cup appearance, but a team that has qualified in the past.
They did qualify back in 2020, but that year, though, obviously the tournament was cancelled due to the pandemic. So this is their official first appearance. Yeah, good mix of youngsters as well as some experienced players with some international caps under their belts.
A number of players from prominent South American nations making their debut in this competition tonight. Here's your look at the lineups. I think when you look at Miami, the name that sticks out, Bill Hamid, but there are some stars for Naples United as well.
There are, yeah. Obviously great to have a veteran with Hamid's presence in goal for Miami. Bolo, Akinyodi, Knutson, nice little centre-back pairing. Alan Gavilan, yes, he can create some things out wide or in the middle. Keep an eye on Dejan Veron, Juan Sebastian's kid as well. As for Naples United, Pablo Amorisi, the 35-year-old, he's won 3 domestic titles when he played in the Dominican Republic, the all-time goal leader for this squad.
Pablo Amorisi, 6 goals a season ago in the Gulf Coast Sunshine Conference in NPSL. He's hoping to continue that positive energy here in round 1 of the U.S. Open Cup. We are just about set for kick. We are at FIU Soccer Stadium tonight in Miami, Florida. You see Miami FC in the orange kits with the white numbers. They'll be going from right to left on your screen. Naples United, the debutantes, in the purple with white numbers going from left to right.
Yeah, I'm sure the guys will be happy to be on the grass tonight rather than on the turf at Pitbull Stadium, just a few hundred yards away.
We got your look for a moment at Kevin Hoyos, 32 years of age. We are underway here in the first round of the U.S. Open Cup. It is Miami looking to get off on the right foot. It is Naples United looking to spring a cup set in its debut. We welcome you into FIU Soccer Stadium alongside Ross Davenport. I'm Sam Goldfarb. Should make for an interesting one. Miami, as you mentioned, looking for a positive start to this competition after a really rough start to their USL Championship campaign.
Yeah, obviously had one of the worst campaigns last year in 2024. Made a ton of changes, including at the manager's spot, Gaston Madoni from Argentina, the new man in charge here at Miami FC. Yeah, if they can get a nice little run, as we mentioned in the Open back in 2017, beat a couple of MLS sides before falling to FC Cincinnati. Listen, a nice little run here would certainly give their fans something to be happy about, which they haven't had over the last couple of seasons.
Last year, finishing bottom of the East, managed just 11 points from 34 regular season matches. It was uncharacteristic when you consider 2 years ago they were regulars in the playoff hunt.
Did manage to beat the winning team in the first game of the season, which was a bizarre stat. Knocked off Colorado Springs back in the opener 2-0. Unfortunately, that was the peak of their season.
Already hoping for a fast start. This is read well by Moroff. And back to tonight's goalkeeper, Joshua Burton, just 23 years of age. Only featured once in the NPSL 2024 campaign for Naples United. It's a start in a big spot here for Vicente Sandoval and company. And a late foul against Hoyos.
The key here for the visitors is to just hang around as long as they can in this game. They don't want to give up an early goal and have to change things. We talked to assistant coach as well as technical director Enoch Shawami this week, and he was saying defensively they've got to be strong in this game. I'm not sure whether they'd see them with 4 or 3 at the back, but it looks like just the standard 4 tonight to start with. Good mix of youngsters, as we mentioned. Ryan Mooroff right there, number 12 at right back. So one of the more promising young talents on this team.
Progressive ball forward here, and it falls for Gavilanes. Hoyos playing it forward. And they'll come back to that earlier foul on Gavilanes. So an early set piece for Miami FC.
Gavilanes, one of the few returners on this squad. Former Greenville Triumph man in League One, was one of their best creative players, either out wide. He's played out more out wide with Greenville, but since moving to Miami, he's featured more in the center of the park. He's their main creator there. He's one to keep an eye on tonight for sure.
It's Gavilanes and Verone in the immediate vicinity for this set piece. Verone to chip to the back stick and claimed confidently by Burton, who passes his first test.
It's good to get a nice easy catch under your belt as a young keeper. Burton out of Stevenson University.
Played 2 seasons there. The offside flag now raised against Naples United. Talking to Enoch Shawunmi this week, he mentioned that the goalkeeping battle was very open. They had not settled on a definitive starter, and they ultimately opt for the less experienced Burton, but still very talented nonetheless.
Yeah, obviously the squad is a lot different than the squad they had during their NPL season all the way back last summer. The team staffed there by mostly college kids, plying their trade on the amateur side of things during the summer, as they do all across the country. But obviously now those kids are still in school. Some of them are local, get to play, but yeah, this is almost a completely different team than they would have seen in Naples last summer in their very successful NPSL season.
Finished atop Group A in the Gulf Coast Sunshine Conference. Fell in the semifinals of conference play, and ultimately that was enough to earn their first official U.S. Open Cup berth.
Yeah, like we've seen with many teams, Des Moines especially, bringing in a few mercenaries here and there to fill some key gaps. Players that want to, not at the end of their career either, that perhaps want to get one last shot somewhere. And we've seen players succeed at the Open Cup, especially I can remember Florida Soccer Soldiers in 2019. At least 2 or 3 of their players ended up getting signed as professionals just because the exposure they got in 2019 with their good run.
Progressive ball from Verone. It's into the box. It was a decent run there from Begliardi, from Bonfiglio, and he misses the target.
Yeah, nice diagonal run by Bonfiglio. You can see it start here at the edge of the box. And a lovely floated ball in by Verone. First touch wasn't terrible either, just couldn't get that left foot around it and put it on target, but first warning shot there by the hosts.
Unsurprisingly, Miami piling on the pressure early, testing what this Naples backline is made of. An update elsewhere, Hartford Athletic, an early lead against New York Shockers in the late stages of this first half. Game that kicked off at 6:30 Eastern at Trinity Health Stadium. So another USL Championship club with some early success.
Yeah, I love the way they've set up this first round with pro teams playing against, listen, whether you want to call them amateurs or semi-pros, certainly not full-time pros, and many of those teams hosting if they can.
And of course, added challenges that come with being a semi-pro team. Players who have conflicting schedules, and also talking to coaches in the semi-pro ranks leading up to this competition, they've mentioned there's a fitness difference that they have to account for.
Obviously, they've known that they're going to be in this tournament for lots of months now. And Shawunmi said they'd started, I guess, training about 6 weeks ago or so as a team. Training almost every day if they can. They've had a number of friendlies, including against Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Luengo winning this back. He was hunting for Pablo Marisi, who is the danger man in purple tonight, number 10. For all the talk about youngsters, you mentioned some of the older standouts. Marisi at 35 years of age is certainly that.
He's got some CONCACAF Champions League action under his belt. He played for Atletico Pantoja against New York Red Bulls back in 2019. Actually, a number of players on this Naples United squad with CONCACAF Champions Cup appearances. We'll see if we see another one of them later on tonight.
That or Copa Sudamericana.
Yeah, Roberto Luima, the Haitian, on the bench this evening. He was on that Violette team that knocked off Austin FC a couple of years ago.
There's a high arcing ball into the box. Calderon misjudges it. Vasquez. Mitrano.
Good shot of the crowd there, filling in nicely here at FIU Soccer Stadium. Some of them Miami FC youth play. They do have a youth program. She got to ref their U12s a couple of weeks ago. Some very talented youngsters to Naples United as well. A big focus on the youth side of things on the West Coast.
How'd you officiate? Positively?
I did a great job, Sam. Never do anything else but.
I love the work ethic. Additionally, we talked to Enoch Chiwunmi, who said that Naples has a good chunk of fans coming in from the other side of the state. So it makes for quite the atmosphere tonight in round one.
Yes, he's got the drums going. Can't tell who. That's the benefit of playing in the smaller stadium. A little packed in and make a little more noise like that for sure.
An intimate setting. This is Crafty. A late challenge. We'll see if this draws the referee's eye or beyond that.
Yeah, Naples looking for their first foray into that Miami final third.
It was Marisi who won the set piece.
As you would expect, possession heavily in favor of the hosts so far, 80% or so. Naples will look to ease their way into this game. Not to make any mistakes, trying to gift any goals to this Miami FC team, because that would certainly change Vicente Sandoval, the head coach's philosophy, if they do go down a goal.
They've got a decently appetizing set piece position here. First time we've properly seen them in Miami's half. And it was an awkward delivery, but not much more than that for Bill Hamid.
Yeah, nobody orange got on the end of it. It was bouncing tantalizingly there for a second inside the 18-yard box. No danger in the end. Let's take another look at it here. Can't see a number of the Miami player that was in the vicinity there, but wasn't far away from getting a touch on it. It could have gone absolutely anywhere if he had.
Right in the corner of uncertainty.
Listen, set pieces can be the real equalizer when you've got a semi-pro team against a bunch of professionals, right? Many of these semi-pros can strike the ball just as well.
This is a progressive switch of the play. It was cut out confidently by Oscar Ribera. 33 years of age, one of the many more experienced pieces in this Naples squad. Akinyode. Well, over 10 minutes gone here from FIU Soccer Stadium. It is round one of Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup action. Miami FC and Naples United FC still in the feeling out process. It's the second ever meeting between these two clubs. They locked horns when Miami FC was an NPSL outfit in 2019.
We didn't get a chance to talk to Gaston Modoni about how he prepared for this squad, because obviously Naples United know who's on the Miami FC squad. Sometimes these semi-pro squads are hard to figure out.
You mentioned great equalizers. That is also definitely one of them.
Behind play here.
Overzealous tackle from Filippo Begliardi.
There's been a couple of crunching challenges in these first 11.5 minutes. Don Knutson perhaps down.
It is. 28-year-old center back. His second year with the club. Seems content to continue.
actually be Matrano. They got 3 and 13.
That it was. Alejandro Matrano was the man down.
Once there. Just for good measure.
Mauricio
Nuts to the turf.
Well, if you're in Naples, how do you handle this early storm that you're sure to face?
I think they've handled it so far. Miami actually not putting on a particular ton of pressure. Let Naples have the ball. I think they'll pick and choose their moments. Obviously a midweek match. A lot of changes though from Miami, so should have plenty of fresh legs. But obviously the potential for going 120. You're going to be a little careful how often you do put the press on.
They brought Bonfiglio back into the side. He was sent off in his Miami FC debut on March 8th against Detroit City, shown a second yellow card on the stroke of halftime. Suspension, not carrying over into Open Cup. For a second yellow anyways, I believe one match would be the standard.
I think Gaston Madoni will certainly have wanted to see what Naples were presenting in the first 10 or 15 minutes before he perhaps figures out what he's going to do tactically.
Gavilanes is thrust to the deck, and he will lose out here, although it was won in an illicit manner, according to our lead official.
Gavilanes, he's a little terrier. Nip at your ankles until he gets that ball back. And himself the free kick here. Chance for a dangerous delivery.
Dejan Verón has been the go-to in scenarios like these early on. Gavilanes also making his way back here. Gavilanes' delivery, a decent one, headed along and ultimately claimed by Burton.
Yeah, just not quite good enough contact to trouble Burton there. Good ball in from Gavilanes though. With that left foot of his, not too much float on it, but there was Knutson in the vicinity. Just couldn't quite get the right side of his head on it to trouble Joshua Burton.
Bonfiglio, the Argentine. And this is, of course, Gavilanes. Decent delivery. It was towards Bonfiglio. Comes right back out to number 7 in orange. Verón loses out. Mauricio in space. Gagliardi giving chase. From afar now. Well, you'll have to do better with that to test Bill Hamid.
Hamid certainly wasn't very far off his line, at least not far enough perhaps for Filippo Bagliardi to take a hack at it, but he did.
Audacious.
The right word for it, Sam, yes.
Gavilanes, he's been the centerpiece early for Miami. And well, they're racking up the set piece count now.
Yeah, another potential dangerous one here. Oscar Rivera, the former Bolivian national team player, taking down Gavilanes. He's been in the wars already. This is perfect for him with that left foot. Chance to get a little in-swinger.
Miami twisting the screws.
Knutson and Akinyodi will certainly be the targets here at 6 foot plus. Akinyodi back with his second spell with Miami FC.
Got Bonfiglio loitering as well. Decent ball in. It's punched away. Now Verón clattered out of trouble for the time being.
Naples United defended very deep on that free kick. One thing that doesn't do is allow Miami to run onto it because they're sitting on the edge of that 6-yard box. There's a chance now for Naples to break.
This is Calderon. He's not shy about bombing upfield on that right flank. Well, you get your first proper look at Bill Hamid, MLS legend at DC United. Almost 300 career appearances there, and of course the 2014 MLS Goalkeeper of the Year. Spent a year off from the professional game. He's back in it now at 34 years of age and his second start with his new club.
Yeah, nice little addition for Gaston Madoni.
Vasquez. Mitrano's cross. It's not a bad one. Fell briefly for Gavilanes, who was thrust off it.
I think Lodi got away with that one. It was a little nudge in the back, perhaps not enough for a free kick, but the way this game has been a little chippy in the first 17 minutes, I think the right decision there. You don't want to let things get out of control. Referee Carvajal blowing the whistle, bringing this one back.
Edson Carvajal, our lead official tonight, very experienced throughout the USL ranks. You said it best, partner. He's got a chippy one to manage so far.
There hasn't been any real nasty fouls, but once they start to add up, you may see a card brought out sometime soon here to send a message.
Especially the more you get away with fouls without any consequence.
Reach halftime in Hartford. Hartford Athletic with a 2-0 lead now over New York Shockers, as you see there. We'll keep you abreast of potential cup sets as the night goes on. Certainly a few potential ones out there this evening.
That's a big result too, because in years past, Hartford's been prone to the occasional cup set. Of course, falling to Red Bulls 2 last year. They're well on their way, though, to the second round.
It's not all the USL Championship sides participating in round 1. We'll see more come in the next round. It's round 3.
Charleston's in round 3.
I think round 3. Yeah. I think the winners of these matches will play each other in round 2 and then come in more of the USL Championship sides. Obviously, the MLS sides that are participating come in after that. They announced earlier today that the prize money doubled for this tournament. Great to see. You do get prize money for being the last remaining team in your level.
Of course, Naples United considered in the the open division of Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. So, you know, valuable if they can make a deep run. It's interesting you've touched on some of the open division sides that have made a splash. And you touched on clubs from the past. How about El Farolito last year? Back in the competition this year, and they made their way into the third round as a really interesting story. Their leading scorer, Denbor Benson, inking a contract later on in the campaign.
That's right.
It is a platform for success for players at every level of the competition, regardless of whether they're in the open division or playing at an MLS side.
So the winner will receive $600,000 this year. Runner-ups, $250,000, and yes, the highest-ranked teams in Division 2, Division 3, and the Open Division will receive $50,000. Obviously, Miami FC in the Division 2 classification.
Hamid had to deal with that one quickly. He did very well at that. Varone sprang it towards Gavilanes. We've seen this pattern before, but a different outcome this time around.
I'm sure Vicente Sandoval will be relatively pleased with his first 20 minutes plus, but they need to show a little bit of threat perhaps in the final third. They've been camped mostly in their own half for the majority of this one. Only 22.4%.
Gavilanes, and now Vasquez. Terrific ball through. Cleared off the line. Burton doing just enough to alter the chance.
Big save for the youngster. Lovely ball just playing on that back shoulder. Burton committed, made himself big, and that was just enough with the leg save. And then help from his teammate to make sure it didn't find the back of the net. That's the first real quality chance for Miami.
It was Gerald Diaz bearing down on goal, denied by Burton in his first ever U.S. Open Cup appearance. Gavilanes now flicked on. Falls for Dejan Varone. Arcing towards the back post. And it goes out for the match's first corner. We've had every set piece but a corner tonight.
That was the first time we've seen a little bit of panic and disorganization from this Naples United backline. So wondering who to cover there. Perhaps should let that ball go out for a corner instead of headed it right to a Miami FC player. It didn't cost them in the end that time.
With in swing. Falls to Vasquez. This is Christian Vasquez. Appeals for handball here. Immediately waved away by Edson Carvajal.
Good look at it. Waved it off immediately.
And Diaz's second ball in is far more underwhelming. Chances beginning to mount for Miami.
In the corner kick here. Vasquez wide open at the back post. Lovely little jink back inside. Didn't really see anything there. Certainly nothing intentional.
Didn't even appear to contact a hand.
No, yeah, but you got to be careful, especially when you get down on all fours in the 6-yard box and that ball's pinging around. It can certainly very easy turn into a spot kick.
Well, we're midway through the first half here at FIU Soccer Stadium. Sam Goldfarb, Ross Davenport bringing you all of this action in the first round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. A pair of in-state foes, Miami FC and Naples United FC, meeting for the second time ever, the first time since Miami became a professional outfit in 2020. Right now, Miami beginning to pile on the pressure. This is clever. It comes all the way back to Diaz, and this time Burton is off his line in time to collect. Was a bit of pushing and shoving on the edge of the area, though.
Yeah, Miami pushing bodies further and further forward now. They've seen Naples United not much of a threat in their third. Their offensive third, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 bodies inside the penalty box or close to it there.
And right now, Naples just can't play out. Bonfiglio, Hoyos. Gavilanes. Vasquez in space, has a crack! Burton doing just enough.
Bounced awkwardly just in front of Joshua Burton. He's done a great job tonight, keeping that ball in front of him. Certainly been a busy man here in these first 25 minutes.
You sensed a feeling out process for Miami for about 10 minutes as Verone's effort goes well wide. The last 15 or so, they've really begun to pile on the pressure and sense some weakness in this Naples back four.
So we're trying to cause some chaos. Making these Naples United players think about where they need to be, who they need to be marking. Obviously haven't played a ton together. I'm not sure when we did say they played a few friendlies, as we mentioned earlier. Still obviously not as much as a full preseason USL Championship as well as a couple of regular season games ago now.
Migliardi was giving chase. It required a quick response from Cardona.
Migliardi, pro experience under his belt in Norway. He's played there back in the summer/fall of 2023. Good goal scorer at UMass.
Spent 2 years at Merrimack, the final 3 years of his career at UMass.
He's got some physicality to him. He's matching with these players, these Miami FC players size-wise, that's for sure. Chance here perhaps as a target man.
Long throw comes in. Popped up. Calderon. Luengo. Hoyos. An errant back pass. Finds its way to Maurici, the danger man. Unable to outwit the Miami defense. Gavilanes clattered to the deck.
3 more games kicking off here in the next couple of minutes. 4 games going at the moment, including this one, the Nashville City against Greenville. Motown against Westchester 1 word, and then Westchester 2 words against Loudoun. Westchester United. Westchester Flames taking on Motown.
None of those to be confused with Westchester SC, right? Gotta love the Open Cup.
Yes.
Teams from all over the shop competing over the next 3 days in round 1. El Farolito, as we mentioned, back in the competition as well. They'll play in a later match on the West Coast. As a man sent tumbling to the deck on the far side. Miami FC with more target practice, presumably for Gavilanes.
Yeah, Alan Gavilanes is having a word here with referee Carvajal, likely saying, listen, how many free kicks do we need to get before a yellow card is issued? Been a little more spread out over the last 10 minutes or so.
Say a measure of success as a player is how much you're kicked.
Certainly take a goal here over a yellow card.
He will be the man to deliver. As nightfall begins to descend over Miami, Florida.
Yeah, beautiful night in South Florida. Referee having a word with Bolo Akinyode.
Gavilanes. It's hooking towards Burton and too tight on him in the end.
Yeah, Burton, not the tallest of keepers, but he's been able to come out and claim or punch so far very effectively. He's looked confident for a young man.
Composed performance so far.
And one thing as a coach of a semi-pro team in this is you want to avoid the silly mistakes. You want to make these pros work for a win or a goal. You want to hand them anything on a platter, and they haven't done that so far. They've managed to not do that so far tonight, Naples. Very composed overall.
Have weathered the Miami storm so far as well, have the Waves. Hoyos. Cardona. The danger man, Gavilanes. Space for a cross here. Decent ball towards Mitrano. And ultimately, Moroff was sent tumbling. Well, you get your look at the packed crowd here at FIU Soccer Stadium. You're just inside 30 minutes in this first round coverage of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Sam Goldfarb, Ross Davenport bringing you all of the action this evening for 90 minutes and potentially beyond if we end at a tie score line. There are no replays in this competition, so if it ends tied, you go to 2 periods of extra time, and well, then the looming threat of penalties. We're a long way before any of those become a consideration, though.
I think Vicente Sandoval will just be a little concerned at the lack of midfield control by his team in this one. They just really haven't been able to take this game even by the scruff of the neck for even the 30 seconds or so. It's been all orange. But obviously, the scoreboard still says 0-0.
Think about how few touches the combination of Begliardi and Marisi have tonight. I think that's indicative of the way this match has gone. Headed along here. Gavilanes just left it dangling. It's cleared only as far as Akinyode. Vasquez. Mitrano around 1. Good ball in that evades everyone in orange, though.
Yeah, there was a parade of orange lining up to take a hack at that one. Luckily for Naples United, the ball was played behind the advancing attackers.
Well, Mitrano, the Venezuelan left back in his 3rd USL Championship campaign, is 2nd with Miami FC. Here he is again.
See, Miami basically now playing with the back 2, just leaving Akinyode and Knudsen to worry about Begliardi. Those fullbacks, and Toronto especially, getting far down that left wing. Coming back now to help out.
They are really stretching this Naples back 4. They've also pinned the midfielders pretty deep as a result. You wonder, though, do you run the risk of one cheap giveaway unlocking your defense?
It's always a risk. I'm not sure how much pace this Naples United team has up front. We haven't really seen much of it on display as of yet. I think as this game goes on and on, Naples perhaps just look to shut up shop. Play for the penalty kicks. It's a long way from that, though, as you said, Sam.
I think goal number 1 is reach halftime, right?
Yes. Here's your possession stat right there that tells the story of this one so far.
Glaring numbers. Cardona. And this is Vasquez. Decent ball forward. Cut across. Was looking for Bonfiglio and cut out in the nick of time for Naples.
Yeah, it was a good thing, too, because Joshua Burton committed, almost went to ground. If that ball had been played back across, you'll see it. Joshua Burton was completely out of position here. Changed his mind, slipped even on the edge of his 6-yard box, and far post was gaping there. Luckily for Naples, it didn't fall to an orange boot, specifically Bonfiglio's.
Hoyos nearly unlocking the wave back line. It is Verón on this near side. Good ball in, and just headed mercifully over the bar. Miami doing everything but hitting the back of the net.
Yeah, Knutson with the diagonal run there, just got a little too much on it. Couldn't put it on target.
Perhaps tough to nod that down, no?
Yeah, it was hit with pace, and he was coming towards it at pace too. Sometimes when you do that, only the slightest of touches will take it a goal. Once Joshua Burton would have been beaten, but he saw it go over his bar. Zaccagnotti and Knutson continue to be a pain in the air. No goals anywhere else yet either. Any other 3 7 o'clock games? 2 7 o'clock games, excuse me. New Jersey 0, Chattanooga 0, Sarasota 0, FC Naples 0. Obviously the new professional side.
Marisi, a rare touch of the ball tonight. And he's sent tumbling. And that's enough to warrant a free kick and an early card as well, it seems.
Finally, referee Carvajal has seen enough, and unfortunately for Miami, just happened to come against them.
Dalton Knutson in the book.
The 6th foul for Miami, 7 for Naples.
Was going to say, I was surprised the first card came against Miami tonight. Although the foul disparity not as stark as perhaps I may have expected.
No, I was expecting it to be more when I scrolled down on my computer, but the chance here for Naples, not the tallest side at the moment. They've got some figures up there. Bagliardi certainly going to be a target.
They have Luengo and Marisi standing over this.
Guerra, a big body too. He's got a couple of inches on Zaccagnotti.
And who else but Marisi standing over it now? 35-year-old talisman for this Naples United club. Is there a plot twist before intermission?
Referee Carvalho wants his full 10.
Marisi goes for goal, and he was not far off.
Bill Hamid got a touch on it. That ball was hit with some venom. Not sure if it was going to end up on target. We'll take another look at it here, perhaps. See where Hamid got a touch. It was likely going over anyway, but Hamid wanted to make sure. I love the late run there by Oscar Ribeiro. Just suddenly remembered that perhaps he needed to be in the box for the free kick.
Well, Marisi, after nearly picking out the top left, will deliver Naples' first corner of the night. With in-swing. It's loose! And oh my, that was a golden chance. Martinez just unable to keep it down.
Bill Hamid came out for it, didn't get it, was left completely in no man's land, an open net. Just couldn't be found by Martinez. It was a golden chance for Naples United to take a late first half lead.
Some late warning shots from the visitors. And is this their best spell of the match? We see the numbers. Given Miami's possession edge, this is not as stark as we would have expected. Just a 6-4 shot disparity.
Yeah, it's just been the quality of chances for Miami. They've got the ball in such dangerous areas. Tested Burton a couple of times. Been able to find the back of the net. An interesting development in New Jersey, Sam. Chattanooga down to 10 men in the first half against New Jersey Alliance.
New Jersey Alliance debutantes in this competition as well.
Red Bulls making things hard for themselves.
What a cup set that would be. Varone is the man to take. He and Gavilanes have been the two most problematic forces for Naples to contend with tonight. Arcing ball in and confidently collected by Burton, who seems more and more comfortable with each passing minute.
Yeah, it's patrolled his box well. Just too much air into that one from Varone. It was always going to be the keeper's ball.
Gavilanes. Dinked forward towards Bonfiglio. And Miami will settle for yet another corner.
Yeah, good work defensively there. I think that was by Lautaro Guerra with his body and shielding. But yeah, another set piece opportunity. Here come the big boys forward.
So many 6-foot target men in orange tonight. In-swinger. It's cleared only as far as Gerald Diaz. Gavilanes, second pop at it. Calderon. And he did lose it out of play.
He looked up on the break and realized he didn't have any help other than Begliardi, who was a lone figure up top, as he has been for most of the night. Calderon trying to go to the outside, but let it slip over the sideline.
Well, it is still a very important competition for Miami, because you've mentioned the sputtering start to the season. 2 losses on the bounce. Fell 2-0 to Detroit City and then got throttled by the hands of Indy 11 on Saturday 3-1 in a match that they were down 3-0 at halftime. So the attack has yet to fully click on all cylinders a year after they posted the least goals in USL Championship. And that is what Gaston Modoni is known for, his very aggressive, attack-minded style, which overwhelms teams. He's brought in a lot of talents to accommodate that. Good ball in, and Miami opens the scoring. Francisco Begliardi with his first for the club.
Dam finally breaks for the visitors. Miami FC, you'd have to say, certainly with a deserved lead here. It's come from a set piece, we'll call it from the throw-in, not directly from the throw-in, but it was a great ball in. Just slipping between defenders was Bonfiglio. Just wanted it more, and a quality finish from the striker.
It is Francisco Bonfiglio with his first for the club in the 41st minute. The new number 9 from Argentina, breaking the deadlock for Miami FC.
More of a hopeful cross in when it was initially hit. The Naples United defenders were just left standing a little bit. Bonfiglio anticipated well, knocked it home.
Well, Bonfiglio, what a response after being sent off in his debut. He gets up and nods it home. Is there a response from Naples? It's spilled, and Hamid will collect. It was a decent effort from Pablo Marisi.
worth a crack from there. Bounced just in front of Bill Hamid. Thankfully for him, the ball bounced high enough for him to be able to recover and claim it. Certainly changed the halftime talk, I would imagine, for Vicente Sandoval. They're going to have to at least try be a little braver here the rest of the way, throw some bodies forward. Doesn't matter whether you lose 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 in the cup. Might as well give it a shot and throw some bodies into that final third to try and find the equalizer. Perhaps a little too early to start panicking by any means.
Especially in their first bite at the apple. Of course, a Naples squad that is making its debut in the competition tonight. So it's Francisco Bonfiglio. Opening the scoring, and Dejan Veron assisting it. So a pair of new additions linking up for Miami FC's first goal of the competition. And a sigh of relief if you're Gaston Madoni, because we were just talking about the goal struggles immediately prior to that opener. Bonfiglio spent the last 2 seasons in Argentina with Atletico Tucumán. That was his first official professional goal. He did score 3 goals in 4 appearances with Independiente's second team. So he was also spent time in the Villarreal Academy, so well-traveled. Now has his first goal in the United States.
Yeah, listen, Gaston Madoni with his coaching resume in Argentina is obviously going to have a ton of contacts to be able to bring players with the talent of Bonfiglio, etc. It's going to take him a little while to gel. Certainly don't expect Miami to have the kind of season they had last year.
And they've brought in players who are immensely talented, some with more experience as well, have pivoted away from the youth project that they implemented at times last season when they realized they were well eliminated from postseason contention. Vasquez. Another corner on the way for Miami. And can they tack on a second before the break?
Yeah, the last thing Naples United want to happen here is for this lead to double. We'll ask the referee to watch his run here.
Francisco Bonfiglio's 41st minute strike makes the difference. His counterpart, Filippo Begliardi, has seen little to no service. Gavilanes' ball in. It's punched. Made its way harmlessly out of play. 3 minutes of added time separate us from intermission in this first round coverage of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
That goal by Bonfiglio was the only one that's gone in anywhere else other than that Hartford game. Has been a very low scoring first round so far. And everywhere else.
Back post, headed on, and knocked in again! Bonfiglio at the double.
Well, Joshua Burton has had himself a great first half, but that was a mistake there by the young keeper. He thought the ball was going to go out of play, so sort of casually let it drift over his head. Unfortunately for him, the curl on the ball kept it in play. Watching here, watch Joshua Burton. The ball over. Burton perhaps thought it had already gone out and just sort of stood there, and Naples United players froze. And Miami FC took full advantage. Seems like Naples players were claiming that the ball had gone out and then perhaps curled back in. Assistant referee on that far side disagrees, and his opinion is the only one that matters.
How about this? Bonfiglio not scoring at his last stop. Sent off in his debut. a brace in his first full half of play with Miami FC.
Not a bad way to redeem yourself after that red card. A couple of goals have gone in elsewhere, Sam, and cup sets perhaps. New Jersey Alliance have taken a 1-0 lead against the short-handed Chattanooga Red Bulls, and Westchester United 1-0 lead over Loudoun.
They call it the March Madness of soccer, don't they?
They do. We might not be in line for a cup set here, but elsewhere, plenty of opportunities. So you can tune over those games at the half. Elsewhere.
Francisco Bonfiglio, his brace, goals separated by just 5 minutes from one another, has Miami FC in the driver's seat against a Naples United squad that has been off the pace for large spells of these opening 45. And it is a merited lead. First half in which Miami has mauled Naples for times in possession. Well, a yellow card has been issued. Lautaro Furione has a yellow as this is cut back, and Bonfiglio nearly had a first half hat trick to his name. Well, there is the halftime whistle. It looked like potentially Naples would make it awkward. They were weathering the storm, but Francisco Bonfiglio scoring twice in the final 5 minutes, and Miami in the driver's seat at halftime.
Yeah, the pressure in the end just told a couple of mental lapses, one by the back four and one by goalkeeper Joshua Burton, led to this deserved Miami FC lead at the break.
Well, that is where we leave things at intermission. Miami FC well on its way to bouncing back from a rocky USL Championship weekend with a berth in the second round, but 45 minutes more to take care of things. We'll step aside briefly here in our coverage of the first round of the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. It is 2-0 Miami at halftime.
Anyone who violates the policy is subject to rejection and possible
We welcome you back here from FIU Soccer Stadium, where at halftime, Miami FC leads Naples United FC 2-0, courtesy of a Francisco Bonfiglio brace in the final 5 minutes. It was a first half in which Miami struggled to break down Naples, but they finally unlocked them, Ross, and now on their way to a potential second-round berth. And now it's time to take a look at the first half highlights. Ross, it'll be a lot of Miami chances, but early on, or around the midway point of the first half, Naples at least threw a wrench in things.
Yeah, the early pressure, as expected, was all from Miami. Some half chances. This was probably one of the best ones here. This lovely ball slipped through. Joshua Burton came out, made himself big, and cleared off the line. It was the first real danger shot. Pablo Marisi here with the free kick, fizzing over the bar of Bilhamid, who did actually get a touch on it. First goal for Miami. Both goals would come, strangely, from throw-ins. They weren't really dangerous throw-ins. Back here to Verón. The cross came in, and Bonfiglio just beat his marker to this one. And Burton was beaten at far post, and that was the opener.
Bonfiglio's first goal for the club, and well, the floodgates would open from there. In first half stoppage time, he struck again.
Yeah, Christian Vasquez, some questions whether this ball went out of play and then curled back in. Joshua Burton hesitated, as did the Naples United backline. That was all Miami needed, is the header back across, and Bonfiglio gets the brace.
Francisco Bonfiglio, the difference maker. Time to look at the first half stats. I think they do tell a lot of the story. An 80-20 possession split. It's been one-way traffic the bulk of the way.
Yeah, Naples United are going to have a lot to do here in this second half to get back into this game. First 10 to 15 minutes going to be critical to try and get something going in that final third. It was a very lonely night for Bilhamid, other than that one free kick that flashed over and a saved late first half that bounced in front of it.
Well, we will see if Naples can flip the match on its head and potentially spring a surprise. But as things currently stand, no drama appears to be on the cards in the second half. A Miami team that bossed the possession, rewarded with the 2 goals. And they're starting number 9 off the mark for his Miami FC career with a pair of tallies late. We're hearing word Miami is making a change here at intermission as they look to solidify what should hopefully, in their eyes, be a comfortable victory, although 45 minutes still to contend with. Ross, if you are Naples, obviously nothing really goes your way in that first half. You get outpossessed, very few chances of note, the likes of Begliardi and Pablo Marisi with limited touches. How do you at least change that and take the game by the scruff of the neck a bit?
I think you just have to be a little braver in this middle third. Right, start pressuring these Miami midfielders into perhaps the alternative. They didn't really get any pressure on the middle. Miami had the freedom of the middle of the park, and they're going to have a change as well. A couple of changes for the visitors. That's another thing he can do. He does have some talent on the bench. Does Vicente Sandoval. Get to those changes in a second for you. Players with some significant international experience now on the pitch for the visitors. Roberto Luima and David Ribera underway here in the second half.
The Luima change is very interesting because he's a Haitian international, as you mentioned, and has played in CONCACAF Champions Cup action. For Miami, they made just one change. It was 2 for Naples. It was Ribera and Luima in for Moroff and Furione. Meanwhile, Dejan Verón exiting for Miami FC. And he's replaced by Francesco Celeste, excuse me. So those are your changes. 1 for Miami, 2 for Naples. Sam Goldfarb, Ross Davenport, bringing you all of the action from FIU Soccer Stadium in South Florida. In that first half, Francisco Bonfiglio's brace making the difference. Goals in the 41st minute and the 46th minute.
Trying to see if it looks perhaps as if Rafael Calderon will drop back to right back. More of a natural defender. He's playing midfield in the first half with the removal of Ryan Moroff, who was playing right back. Trying to see if they would go 3 at the back. Not just yet. Not going to pull too many bodies forward. Looks like Ribera, more of a left wing, will play on the right wing. Played in the top tier in Malaysia.
Heavy touch there from Bonfiglio, our difference maker tonight for Miami. And hoofed long towards Begliardi now. He'll catch up to it, but he will foul Akinyode in the process.
That was harsh on Begliardi. Poor guy. He barely had a sniff of the ball in the final third. He does get one there, and I thought he just used his physicality well. I'll say Bo Akinyode, not an easy player to knock off possession. Perhaps referee saw something we didn't.
Francesco Celeste is into the match, an attacking midfielder from Argentina, one of many Argentine additions Gaston Madoni has made this offseason. Gavilanes cuts it back. The substitute Celeste. And now from long range. Double palms from Burton to deny.
As it was in the first half, Alan Gavilanes, the main problem for Naples United. A couple of chances here for outside shots. Won't come in the end from about 22 yards. Comfortable height save for Joshua Burton, but he still had to get across.
Gavilanes. And this is finally the challenge on Gavilanes that yields the yellow. Pablo Marisi.
Knutson's got to be careful here. He's already got a yellow card. Dalton Knutson wants more than a yellow. Knutson, as the third man in, he was trying to get involved. I can see what he was trying to do, but you don't do that with a yellow, perhaps. Marisi with the card shown, deservedly so. Gavilanes once again on the ground.
Another yellow's been brandished here. They showed the yellow to Marisi already.
Oof. Studs were up. I don't think the contact ended up being with the studs. It was almost a knee-to-knee instead. And guys are still having a go here at each other. Referee Carvajal has had enough. He's going to call them over, where the ball perhaps should be anyway.
Well, I believe that yellow was just the yellow they showed to Marisi. Just clarifying that he was booked.
Yeah, I think referee had to wait to see once things had calmed down. Loudon with the equalizer against Westchester. Trying to avoid the cup set there in the USL Championship side.
Substitute Celeste stands over this. Gavilanes is short if they opt to use him. Floats it into the area. It was flicked along by Hoyos and well beyond the sticks of Josh Burton.
Just got to hope here that Naples United don't go down without a fight. It's been a very tame performance so far. But just considering you and I talked before the game of the amount of talent they brought in, we thought this game would perhaps be a little closer, at least statistically. The score certainly does reflect how things have gone. The statistics, some of them we obviously didn't have space to show you at halftime. Gets the touches, and passes in the opponent's half. Passes in the final third so far. Miami 120, Naples 12.
And to add on to that, Burton has issues on his goal kick.
And Miami's certainly looking for that third goal that will put this one to bed. The earlier they can get it, the better for them. Can make some changes, keep some legs fresh for Saturday. Things don't get any easier. Tampa Bay Rowdies come into town this weekend.
It's an unforgiving schedule to begin your slate. Detroit, Indy, and Tampa.
The only upside is that because of the way the schedule goes in the USL, obviously some of the cold weather teams can't host this early, so the warm weather teams tend to host a bunch early. That is the case for Miami.
I'll tell you what, though, it's not quite as brutal as Charleston's slate. 5 matches against playoff teams in the first 6, earning a big result against Rhode Island at the weekend. Gavilanes unable to return that ball to Bonfiglio.
It should mean things get easier down the stretch, though.
Hearing word Miami readying one more change. It's an MLS man, former MLS man, Lucas Milano, who's getting set to replace Kevin Hoyos if that trend remains the case in a couple minutes' time. There's the ball forward towards Marisi. Now it falls to the substitute Loima. Space to run into now. Ribera with his first forays forward and right into the waiting arms of Bill Hamid. Still looks sharp.
Yeah, listen, we've seen goalies play at a high level into their early mid-40s.
It's good to see him back in the professional game. Obviously a legend of American soccer in the MLS in the 2010s.
Great addition, all things considered, to have Miami struggled last year. You got a bunch of new players, bringing in an old head like Bill Hamid just to settle things down and say, hey, this is how things need to be done if we want to be a better side from top to bottom. Goalkeepers, many goalkeepers do turn out to be good managers. Not sure if Bill has coaching aspirations, but can certainly be considered a coach on this side, especially on the field for Gaston Madoni in his first year with Miami, first year in this country, obviously, as well, coming from Argentina.
The path of Gaston Madoni, quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a serious resume.
He's a Boca Juniors Academy coach for 14 years in the Boca Juniors club before stints with River Plate and Racing Club. He's coached at the highest levels of Argentine football. Not quite as the head man. This is his first stint as a lead manager. He brings with him a strongly defined philosophy. Mitrano cutting it across. It was towards Gavilanes, who has everything but a goal tonight, and goes out for yet another Miami corner.
Interception there. Lautaro Guerra. Oh, that was going to be 3-0. Gavilanes waiting on the doorstep to tap that one home.
Miami will make that change. It's Lucas Milano in place of Kevin Hoyos. And we all know about the legendary stint Lucas Milano had with Portland Timbers. 59 MLS apps there and part of a 2015 MLS Cup winning squad 10 years ago. And still just 32 years of age. He's in his early 30s. In swing. And right into Burton's gloves. Interesting thing about Milano, it's not just, as you see the corners disparity here, it's not just the MLS Cup in his locker. He also won the Copa Libertadores with Lanús, an Argentine side, in 2013. So two of the most prestigious cup competitions in the Americas are in his trophy case.
Not bad, right? Yeah, for those that don't know, Libertadores, basically the Champions League of South America.
Man down in the area, and the referee immediately waving away any penalty shouts.
I think we all saw that one coming, as did referee Carvajal. He wasn't buying what Pablo Marisi was selling. There was a tiny bit of contact, but certainly not enough to send him to the turf. Well, the grass, I should say.
Did his best, Leonardo DiCaprio. Marisi, though, a very impactful figure in this Naples United side. Can't fault him for trying to manufacture an opportunity here. Naples, very few touches in the box. Bonfiglio. And now Milano runs out of play.
And chatting with Enoch, he was talking about a lot of local players stick around now. Obviously, NPSL sides mostly made up of college kids from around the country. We're seeing a lot more local players sticking around now, which is helping. I'm seeing the benefit of having the guys.
Begliardi giving chase here. It's Filippo Begliardi, and it just whistles wide of the near post.
Core of players now living locally. They haven't had that in the past. It's been the most interesting year as a club. Here's the chance again. Nice little touch around. Something made Bill Hamid think about it. As he went past his right-hand post.
Didn't appear Hamid had that covered fully. And how that would have tilted the tail raws.
Obviously, these college kids have choices about where to go in the summer. Naples, obviously, a great spot to come. any time of year. A little warm in the summer, but certainly could be worse places to play. And the more and more you get in competitions like this and make a name for yourself, the more you can sell your program. Opportunity to get looked at.
Gavilanes taking this one short.
Just keeping an eye elsewhere. Hartford up 3-0 now as they look to finish that one off. We have a potential cup set in Texoma, 4-0. 1-0 up against the League One side. Obviously making their first appearance in this competition. First year as a club.
I believe it's their inaugural match.
New Jersey still with that 1-0 lead over the Chattanooga Red Wolves. Still early in the second half there. Keep an eye on that potential cup set.
League One struggling at the moment. So far for Miami FC, there have been no such issues. Francisco Bonfiglio's first half double is what separates these two sides, and Naples United reeling for the bulk of this opening hour. Cardona. Gavilanes, and well, this one was an unnecessary challenge.
Gavilanes, he's got such a low center of gravity. He turns corners so tightly. Players a little bigger, a little less athletic can't keep up with him. And we've seen so many fouls against him this evening as a result.
Lautaro Guerra, the man who committed that challenge, and surprisingly, no consequences.
It's the 7th foul awarded against Alan Gavilanes today.
It's been a ball of dynamism tonight. And he stands over this set piece. Celeste also is lingering. Good ball. Perhaps a bit behind the first man. Diaz hoofing it back into the mixer. Vasquez. Time beginning to run down on Naples United. We're entering the final half hour. Vasquez darted across, and this time Cardona puts it over.
Should be 3-0. Golden opportunity there. Vasquez again. It's been a threat tonight in those channels. And yeah, that should really have done better there. Nico Cardona. Don't get too many gifted opportunities like that this season in the USL Championship. Should have found himself in the scorebook here tonight in the Cup.
Miami continuing to send numbers forward.
It's been a real professional performance tonight in this first hour by the home team. They certainly haven't looked stretched or troubled too often.
Well, if Naples is to cause late drama, they'll have to flip the script in a hurry, because very little of the ball tonight and very few chances, especially out of direct build-up. You mentioned it, the 12 passes in the final third was what was glaring at halftime. Gavilanes over the top. Punched away, and finally stabbed out of danger. Mitrano. Well, hearing reports that Francisco Bonfiglio is U.S. Open Cup's leading goal scorer as of now. That's a deflected effort and goes over the bar after Burton got a palm to it. Another corner for Miami. Bonfiglio, we mentioned it, a man who had not scored for his new club until tonight. currently leads the competition in scoring.
Yeah, two very different goals, but both very opportunistic. Right place at the right time, which obviously is the trait of many good strikers.
Toronto, Knudsen got a touch to it, and it ran out of play.
Everybody talks about the finishing ability, but you've got to put yourself in the right place at the right time as well.
Sensational technique on the first goal in the header. You mentioned how he tamed a pretty ferocious ball into the box. He managed to redirect it perfectly on frame at that. Last thing stands, Naples United's U.S. Open Cup debut might be an underwhelming one. Loima trying to change the script. Bagliardi, and the flag is raised. A couple footsteps behind Akinyode.
It's one of those situations where you find yourself on that back shoulder where he hasn't found himself much at all tonight, just a little anxious to get even a half a chance. He haven't had many of those tonight. And our first final score of this year's U.S. Open Cup. Hartford with a 3-0 win over the New York Shockers. No shock for them. Championship side moves on.
Bonfiglio. Bashed upfield. Numbers again for Miami. And late to Gavilanes. Loima. He's looked dangerous since entering the fray.
He certainly found himself in the most space. 2 times he's found it in that left channel, more space than anybody else on his team has had the entire game so far.
Switch of the play was telegraphed, though.
Yeah, gave that one away.
Milano. Diaz. Vertical ball that runs right to the goalkeeper. This Naples United club, we mentioned the history, established in 2017. They've been NPSL members since their inception and one of the top sides in the Gulf Coast Sunshine Conference. Last year finishing atop Group A with 22 points and just 2 defeats to qualify for the playoffs before falling in the playoff semifinals to Jacksonville Armada's U23 bunch. Still enough to qualify. And even if it ends in less than ideal fashion for Vicente Sandoval's bunch, it is still a positive moment for the club, even in defeat tonight. Loima.
As you mentioned, Jacksonville Armada, one of the many pro teams now popping up in Florida. Obviously, they were previously a pro team in the NSL days, and now being MLS next pro next season.
In general, a lot of teams popping up.
Yeah, Sarasota, just obviously FC Naples in League One. Sarasota, going to have a team coming soon. Hearing about Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach next year in USL Championship, Florida. Teams popping up everywhere on the USL side of things.
Over the top here, it's cut across to Gavilanes, and at the second time of asking, makes it 3-0 to Miami.
Pushing bodies forward, getting caught on the transition. It was a great save initially by Joshua Burton, but Gavilanes maintained his composure and a deserved goal for the former Greenville Triumph man.
A scintillating display from Alan Gavilanes and rewarded on the score sheet here, Ross.
And here's the break. Here was a lovely ball over the top. Vasquez again. Gavilanes wide open. First shot was well saved by Burton, but hooked it right back to Gavilanes, who poked it home. That should be game, set, and match for the home side.
Signed, sealed, and potentially delivered for Miami FC, and now a triple change ensuing for the host. Bolu Akinyode, the first to vacate of the 3. And maybe a chance to get the kids on. Also will do it for Bonfiglio's night. No chance to chase his hat trick. And Gavilanes, the goal scorer, exits as well.
Yep, some smart substitutes by Gaston Madoni. Mentioned the game coming up against the Rowdies this weekend.
Well, 3 changes for Miami FC. Michael Lawrence, the first to enter. Gavilanes vacating for Tobias Zarate. And then Sebastian Blanco also entering the fray for Bonfiglio. So that's your 3 changes. Lawrence, an interesting story. South Florida College legend, if you will, at Nova Southeastern. And after graduating college, got the opportunity to trial with Miami FC in the 2023 season. Signed a 25-day contract at one point. And then last season, a month-long contract before earning a deal for the rest of the campaign. Now full-time player for Miami FC. And Tobias Zarate, the nephew of West Ham, former West Ham man, Mauro Zarate.
Good to see Mikey Lawrence outdid his games at Nova Southeastern. Big physical presence up top. You'll chase balls for days. Be finishing as well.
Also speaking of former MLS men, Sebastian Blanco, the Argentine, one of the new high-profile additions for Miami FC. He's a Timbers Club legend. 51 goals and 46 assists in 203 appearances with Portland, and was MVP of the 2020 MLS SPAC tournament. Lawrence is giving chase here. And it falls. A chance, and it's in! It's 4 for Miami. Tobias Zarate on the score sheet with his first touch.
That's how you finish inside the box. Mikey Lawrence will get the assist, but Zarate just absolutely hammered that one past Joshua Burton. Just too much pace for the youngster to handle. Miami just too much for Naples to handle here in the end. Yeah, Burton just beaten by the pace of that one. And pulling away now, substitutes getting involved.
We mentioned the nephew of Mauro Zarate. He's also the son of a former Argentine national team player, Ronaldo Zarate. So an accomplished family. And Tobias with his first goal in his new colors. Joined the club on February 26th. Now opens his account for Miami FC. A finish Mauro would be proud of.
That was absolutely hammered when he came off his foot. I thought it was a little close to the keeper, but by the time Burton could react, it was already past him and hitting the twine. Yeah, good confidence builder here for Miami FC. Gaston Madoni getting to see a wide range of his squad. Exactly what he had in mind tonight. I don't think this night could perhaps have gone any better.
It looked potentially nerve-wracking in the opening 40 minutes, despite Miami bossing it. You wondered if they'd break through. You're beginning to see the semblances of this attack-minded, high-octane style Gaston Madoni hopes to implement. Positive signs here tonight. And it turned out to be a scenario once Bonfiglio broke the deadlock that the floodgates opened.
Well, we've got mixed fortunes elsewhere for USL League One sides. Chattanooga have equalized. A man down at New Jersey Alliance, but Texoma are now themselves down a man against Farr. That one might be worth tuning into after this one. Or if you feel like turning off now, I understand. It's getting a little out of hand here. So much action tonight in the Cup. So as neutrals, we'll have a penalty shootout. Haven't got to any of those yet. There's certainly some potential Cup sets in the later games.
Miami continuing to throw numbers towards goal. This time it's cut out by Luengo. Sprayed forward to Ribera. We have two Riberas on the pitch right now for Naples United. Maurici.
Naples United, obviously back over to the West Coast and start preparing for their NPSL season. College kids start coming over in a few months or so.
Well, hearing word that Naples is making two changes and the white flag may be raised because the two men set to depart are Maurici and Begliardi, the top two threats going forward. Jorge Moreno and Luis Valdivieso are the two men set to enter. Chip forward, ball from Blanco. And an overly aggressive challenge from the most recent goal scorer, Tobias Zarate. Well, here is the double change for Naples United. And now it's a chance to test their bench depth a bit. The 23-year-old Bolivian native, Luis Valdivieso, who was a regular for Naples United at the tail end of last season in the NPSL, entering. As is, of course, we mentioned Jorge Moreno, the 29-year-old out of Aurora in Bolivia. So a pair of players with experience in Bolivian football will feature.
Yeah, no cup magic tonight for assistant coach Enoch Schwamley, who we talked to during the week, but talking about his old days playing in England in the FA Cup, and he played with Luton, got to play against Liverpool a couple of times. And we're actually up 3-1 against Liverpool at halftime and ended up losing 5-3. What an experience it was, even though he only played a little bit in that game. Stevie Gerrard on the score sheet for Liverpool. Xabi Alonso as well.
Brace in the winner for Xabi Alonso in that 2006 FA Cup third-round match. Here's an effort for Naples. Hamid had it covered at the near post. It was in January 2006, third round of the 2006 FA Cup. You mentioned it, partner. 3-1 Luton lead. That was Enoch Schwamley's first stop of his 11-year professional career, most of which was spent in England.
We're also proud to see Luton get back to the Premier League recently.
Well, I hear they're having a hard go of it in the Championship.
They are, unfortunately. Yeah, no bounce back this year for sure for the Hatters.
It was quite the moment when they got promoted. Speaking of intimate stadiums.
Remember, they had to postpone their first home game because the stadium wasn't quite ready.
Had to upgrade it. Lawrence's cross. And Enoch Schwamley mentions how he uses his experience becoming a professional. He said, I became a pro later than most at 21 years old. And I keep telling the lads, regardless of age and position, you can do it. But you need to commit to the right training habits, the right eating habits, and really fully embrace the lifestyle of a professional footballer. Says that's what he and his colleagues are looking to do at Naples United. He, of course, the assistant coach, Vicente Sandoval, the head man once again throughout this campaign. Enoch Schwamley very passionate about youth player pathways in this country.
It's a touchy subject to many, right? The youth pathway thing because of the pay-to-play system in this country. But the more and more teams we get going with the academies and we're able to help financially, the better this country will get overall as a soccer-playing nation. We're starting to see it come along. Obviously, all these new professional teams popping up. And one way to cheaply produce players is to have your own academy. We're seeing it happen more and more.
Miami FC especially, a lot of academy products signing first-team contracts over the last couple of years. A bevy of 18, 19-year-olds on the first-team roster. This is an assertive ball towards Ribera that's knocked out of play by Cardona. We're in the final quarter of an hour here from FIU Soccer Stadium. It is a 4-0 Miami FC advantage over Naples United. The first half brace by Francisco Bonfiglio, and then in the second half, Gavilanes and Zarate tacking on 2 more. Opening 40, Miami was dominant but lacked a breakthrough, and Naples had their chances. But since that opener, it's really been rough sledding for the visitors. This is snatched back. Here's Blanco. Into the path of Zarate. Terrific ball through. Ushered wide to Blanco again. Tries the curler, and it's off the crossbar. An excellent chance. And now the flag raised against Meleno. But how about this effort? It's one for the cameras.
Yeah, it was hard to tell from our angle here where it was going to end up. It hits the woodwork. Burton beaten. Looks like Loudon may avoid the cup set after being 1-0 down. They're up 2-1 now. Former Miami FC man Christian Soto with the go-ahead goal.
He was one of the top playmakers on this Miami FC side 2 years ago. Obviously, the goal is to get back to where they were in 2022, competing regularly for Eastern Conference quarterfinal berths. They did that in 2021 and 2022, shortly after joining USL Championship. It has been a rougher go of it, managerial instability. They're hoping they found their man in Gaston Madoni, who can bring this club back to where they feel they belong, competing for an Eastern Conference playoff berth. When you flash back to both its early USL Championship days, but also its amateur days in the NPSL, this club was a juggernaut.
Speaking of Enoch Shrumani, he may have just found himself in the referee's book. I think a bit of frustration. Somebody in the dugout got a yellow card. I never know who.
Throw it back to 2006 in the FA Cup.
Just having flashbacks. Speaking of Naples, the new professional team in Naples, FC Naples, is in a battle with Sarasota Paradise. 0-0 there with less than 20 minutes remaining in that West Coast battle. Didn't ask Enoch Shrumani if the two sides get along. Obviously, we've seen over the years in America when amateur sides and pro sides come to town, or pro sides come to town where there is an existing amateur side. Things don't always go nicely. Hopefully it's not the case in Naples.
I believe they share a playing ground, at times at least. This is not properly dealt with by Naples. Lawrence loses out. Ross mentioned it earlier, but the lone final score in the first round of the U.S. Open Cup, a 3-0 win for Hartford over New York Shockers. You see that full-time score on your screen right now. Opened the scoring pretty early and didn't look back from there. Miami right now has them one-upped in round 1. Another yellow. And the frustration beginning to bubble over for Naples United. That is Moreno, the substitute who is booked.
Well, Moreno's jersey is of the semi-pro variety. Looks like somebody just added a 1 to the 9 and was kicked out. He's in danger here. Perhaps his night ending early. He's got to behave himself. Getting into it.
Jorge Moreno, the substitute in the book. Well, if you are Naples United, it is important to note this is a club that does not begin its main season until May, when the 2025 NPSL slate begins in the Gulf Coast Sunshine Conference. So for them, they were training for 6 weeks for this one match, so to speak, or one competitive match. But they are by no means in any sort of in-season form yet. Obviously, Miami FC has played 2 competitive matches and have started to shake off the cobwebs. I don't think the Naples staff will take much solace in that, but
No.
it is important to note for those at home.
As I said, Enoch Sherman was talking to us about getting the name out there, and this is what this game will do. Obviously, an extended run would certainly have done it even more, like Al Farolito had last year. Florida Soccer Soldiers, etc., 6 years ago.
It's funny you mentioned Florida Soccer Soldiers, because guess who they beat in the second round of that competition?
Go on, tell me so.
It was Miami FC.
There you go. Good job.
This is loose. Does Moreno have a chance in him? He lays it off. Still loose. Moreno knocks it in. Naples United on the board late.
Good
Their
for them.
first ever U.S. Open Cup goal.
Good for them. Moreno just kept at it. Didn't give up inside that penalty box. Could have taken a dive. Skipped around. Got a little lucky with the bounce here. Took it off his teammate's toes, really, but he won't care. On the board. Well done, Naples.
It's Jorge Moreno, the goal scorer of Naples United FC's first ever U.S. Open Cup goal. The 29-year-old who most recently featured for Aurora. It's his second stint with Naples United, though. A native of Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Bolivia.
Sam, you and I discussed the Rowdies Legion game I did last year. It was 4-0 Rowdies until the 83rd minute,
You would be correct.
when Birmingham scored, and they would score 3 more to make it 4-4. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but it was exactly the same minute. Stranger things have happened.
Certainly. You've mentioned one stranger thing that's happened. In-swinger to the back post, and instead Miami FC nearly responded. We might have more goals on our hands.
I'm not predicting anything, Sam. That header almost ruined my story. That ball's still rolling. The referee's going to let it go. At this point, understandably.
Well, Naples United can leave here saying they've scored a U.S. Open Cup goal, something they did not have the opportunity to do in 2020 when their qualification for that competition was neutralized by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, obviously, this cup was cancelled for 2 years because of the pandemic, not just the one.
It's really a shame because there are a lot of amateur semi-pro sides like Naples United who missed out. You think about, as well, another amateur side in this competition, New York Pan-Cyprian Freedoms, excuse me. They qualified in 2020 and 2021. Weren't allowed to compete in either. And now they're returning to the competition for the first time in 9 years. But it would have been much shorter, obviously, if the pandemic didn't intervene and disrupt the flow of the Open Cup.
And I'll say credit to Naples United because there are several teams that decline the opportunity to compete in this cup. The amateur semi-pro level, for financial reasons perhaps. Credit to Naples for taking up the challenge here.
We mentioned that New York team. They play on Thursday night at 7:30 at FC Cincinnati 2. One of the storied clubs in U.S. Open Cup history. Into the final 5 minutes here from FIU Soccer Stadium. Naples with the wind in their sails a bit after scoring. It's a question of whether they can make it a little more intriguing late. This is Luengo. Looking for Ball Divieso, and instead Bill Hamid is all over it. Not much he could do about that goal that took away his clean sheet.
Yeah, no, I don't think he'd be too disappointed. As long as they don't get any more here.
It's beginning to open up. Lawrence. What does the native South Floridian have in his locker? Celeste.
Here Hearing FC Naples with a late winner. What should be a late winner against Sarasota, so won't be a terrible evening for the city of Naples, at least. Still some time to go in that one, though, against Sarasota.
Celeste chipping it towards the back post and into Burton's gloves. New Jersey and Chattanooga still level. So after this one ends, you might want to flip over there because extra time is beckoning. Chattanooga, of course, down to 10 men. Here's the lone goal scorer for Naples United, in Moreno. Oscar Ribera. Towards Valdivieso. Can only usher it right back to Bill Hamid.
Carson Hendelong with the goal for FC Naples. Had a couple of goals on the weekend to beat Forward Madison. Now it is third for his the brand new club. I say his new club as well.
How about their start to the season? 4 points from an available 6.
Packing that place out over in Naples as well. It's great to see all the new clubs in USL League One this season.
You mentioned Texoma being one of them, Westchester SC as well. A team that is currently knotted at 0-0 with Motown in the 58th minute.
Texoma are at least tied now with 10 men. Foro now down to 10 men, so we'll have a short-handed second half for both sides there. Greenville still 0-0 with their local rivals Asheville City just across the border. Loudoun now 3-1 up at Westchester United. Boudoir with a brace. So plenty of games to tune into after this one, whatever you choose. So we may have extra time in New Jersey. Still 5 minutes to go there, though.
What a result it would be if New Jersey could pick off Chattanooga. We mentioned the debutantes in this competition. Hearing word it'll be 3 minutes of added time. I don't believe your Birmingham-Tampa Bay repeat is coming to fruition here tonight.
And unfortunately for the New Jersey Alliance, it looks like their upset bid it might be over. Chattanooga just scored a late goal there in New Jersey to go up 2-1.
Red Wolves survive despite going down to 10. Moreno into the final minute of the initial 90. Well, that didn't go according to plan for him.
Just ran into a brick wall, or an orange wall, I should say.
It appears all academic at this stage. Miami FC destined for a return to the second round. Their first time competing in the first round since they were an amateur outfit in the NPSL in 2019. That bid ended in the second round that year to the Florida Soccer Soldiers side you spotlighted. Of course, their heights came in 2017. They reached the quarterfinals, fell to FC Cincinnati, which was then a USL club. Naples making one more change before the night comes to its eventual conclusion. Oscar Ribera set to vacate. Agustin Sinelli, the Miami-Dade College player who just finished his freshman season there, will enter in his place.
Yeah, Miami-Dade College, nice little story. Got their men's soccer program back after nearly 30 years without one. Obviously, a few of those players on this FC Naples United squad.
Approaching the final 90 seconds of our 3 minutes of added time. And Ross, if you're Miami FC, you've mentioned the importance for building confidence. And it doesn't get much easier for them. They square off with Tampa Bay on Saturday. But when you analyze this match, you've got to be pretty pleased with what you've seen if you're a Miami fan.
Yeah, certainly plenty of positives to take for Coach Gaston Modoni. Never really looked in danger in this game at all. As you mentioned, it took him a while to get the ball into the back of the net. This is a fair result in the end, all things considered. Naples United certainly be disappointed in the performance, especially in that first half.
They do have one final set piece before the night is done. Miami will await their fate at the end of this round to see who they will be playing next in the second round of the competition.
Yeah, that'll be April 1st and 2nd, of course. I think they'll still try to keep it pretty geographically close, at least through the first few rounds. So maybe they'll play FC Naples in the next round. We'll have to see.
Call that the Naples Gauntlet.
Let's go Inter Miami 2 also participating.
This may be the final involvement for either team tonight. Luengo is in the vicinity for Naples United.
So as you mentioned earlier, the winners of this first round play each other in a second round, so 16 games in the second round.
It's a nice ball in.
And the flag was up in the end.
It was Calderon who got his head to it.
And then 16 second round winners will then be matched up with the 16 16 highest ranked USL Championship teams from last year, and then those third round winners will square off against MLS teams. And that's it from here.
That is the final whistle. Miami FC takes care of business at home in its first round clash with Naples United. They advance to the second round of the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, and they do it in very comprehensive fashion.
Yeah, no, an impressive performance from Gaston Modoni's men. And then we'll move on to the second round. As for Naples United, gallant affairs, but gallant effort for the first 40 minutes especially, but just too much in the end from the home team.
Time to take a look at our full-time highlights. It was a match that Miami dominated. You mentioned took them a while to get uncorked, though. Francisco Bonfiglio ensuring that before halftime, they held the 2-0 lead.
Yeah, both goals came from sort of inconspicuous throw-ins. Crossed great delivery there, and Bonfiglio, first man to it, just beat his marker. Knocked it home past Joshua Burton, who had made some good saves up until that point. Another throw in here. Comes across from Vasquez. And again, questions if this one floated out of play or not, but Naples FC players just all sort of stopped. Miami FC took full advantage, particularly with the brace.
Then the floodgates opened after the restart, and Alan Cavillañas got his well-deserved goal.
And certainly one of the most impressive players on the pitch tonight, as perhaps expected. He's been very good since joining the team last season. He's more in the middle of the park now than he used to be in USL League One, and then it will be 4-0 not long afterwards.
It was for Tobias Zarate with a terrific finish that his Argentine national team relatives would be proud of. But before full time, Naples United grabbed their first ever US Open Cup goal.
Yep, all about hanging in there with this one. Great effort and put away.
It was Jorge Moreno, the goal scorer. It's now time to look at the upcoming schedule for Wednesday night in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. A full slate of matches beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern. How about Columbus Crew 2 hosting New York Renegade? And then as you head further through the night, Lexington SC beginning its US Open Cup campaign.
Yeah, and at Miami Derby, perhaps Miami FC will play the winner of that game in the next round. We'll have to see an Appalachian FC against Knoxville. We'll see if they bring out those Yeti jerseys.
Chattanooga FC beginning with Corpus Christi FC. And if Chattanooga Red Wolves get through, we could have a pretty tense derby on our hands as well if that all holds.
Yeah, Venice, we've obviously seen plenty of their signings heading into that one. A few retired, we'll say, MLS legends will show for them against that Sporting KC2 side.
Well, that is all for us here from Miami tonight. A 4-1 victory for Miami FC over Naples United to start its U.S. Open Cup campaign on a high note. Miami headed to the second round of the competition. So for our terrific broadcast crew and my partner Ross Davenport, I'm Sam Goldfarb. We say so long from FIU Soccer Stadium.